There are people who will routinely tell me on social media that, you just think you know everything, and then you just think you're better than us. And what it is these are people who actually aren't smart, and they don't like to be told they're wrong. And my job is to tell you the truth. And to quote my friend Andrew Breitbart, and yes, he was a friend. I still have his number in my phone book. The number of friends of mine who are dead, whose numbers I can't bring myself to delete. He's one of them. Andrew used to say, truth is truth. It's not mean, it's the truth. And the truth is there are a lot of people out there who believe many things that simply are not so. And I get blowback from people who, Rush Limbaugh would never make me feel like an idiot. Actually, he would. I know. But if people are really sensitive to it, you little whippersnapper, you don't know what you think you know. It's remarkable the number of people. I've been in politics this long. I know people, and I keep good relations. One of the criticisms of me, one of the attacks. There's another radio show host who will go unnamed because it's not worth it. But one of the criticisms of me of why you should not put me on the radio is because, do you know that Erickson, he has friends in the Democratic Party like James Carville and Donna Brazile. How can you trust he's a real conservative? My response is, I'm a Christian. I love my neighbor. I'm sorry that guy's not. But I have friends across the aisle, and I try not to burn bridges with them. There are many people who you probably hate their guts, and I'm friends with them. And I may be critical of them on radio. Like in the last hour, I was critical of Joe Scarborough, who I've known Joe since he was a member of Congress. I disagree with him a lot these days. But I'm not going to burn bridges with someone because I see the world different from them. And, oh my gosh, the level of criticism. But the one criticism, the biggest criticism, the chief of all of them, the thing that I get from anonymous Twitter persons, you just think you're better than us and you think you know more than us. Well, XBillyBob5 on Twitter says this. Prove him wrong. All of that is to say, there are many people on the right who listen to XBillyBob Bumpkin 25339875 on Twitter who assures them Barack Obama is pulling the strings of the Biden administration. Barack Obama is really in charge. It's Barack Obama who's there. I would just like to spend a few moments with you and tell you this is not true. I know some of you believe Barack Obama is in charge, and I don't blame you because you've heard other voices say that. Just this past weekend on Fox and Friends weekend, they were talking about behind the scenes, it's Erick Holder and Valerie Jarrett and Barack Obama pulling the strings. It's simply not true. And if they were connected and talked to Democrats who you can learn things from, even if you disagree with them, you would learn that Team Biden hates Team Obama. And Team Obama feels the same damn way. They don't like each other at all. They're furious with David Axelrod publicly criticizing Joe Biden, and they take David Axelrod's criticisms as Barack Obama's criticisms, even though they're not. The Biden team, you have to understand this, please. I'm just begging you. I don't care who you believe is pulling the strings with Joe Biden, but if you believe it's Barack Obama and you believe it's Barack Obama's team, you're not a thinking person who knows anything about the situation. Yet I don't mean that to be insulting. I don't mean it to be arrogant. I don't mean it to be belittling. I just happen to know it's true that they are not pulling the strings because the Biden camp and the Obama camp despise each other. Jill Biden and Michelle Obama do not like each other. The only people who like each other are Barack Obama and Joe Biden, and even Barack Obama is the man who said never underestimate Joe's ability to F things up. There are limits to their friendship. This has a lot to do with 2016. The Biden team that is with him now was with him then in many cases, and they really believe Barack Obama is to blame for Donald Trump because they really believe had Barack Obama come out for Joe Biden in 2016, Not only would he have been the nominee for the Democrats, he would have beaten Donald Trump as Barack Obama's third term. That's their belief. You and I can disagree with them, but you have to understand that's the Biden team's belief. The Biden team does not like Barack Obama. They don't like Valerie Jarrett. They don't like Erick Holder. They don't like David Axelrod. They don't like the people from Barack Obama's world. And so if you're out there and you're telling people that Barack Obama is clearly the one pulling the strings, you don't know what you're talking about. You just don't know what you're talking about. And I hate to abuse you. I hate to insult you. I hate to belittle you. I hate to make you feel dumb, but you are if you're saying this. Because it's not true. And that goes for the talking heads on Fox and Newsmax and OAN and on social media. It's simply not true. The Obama team and Biden team don't like each other. Now, who is pulling the strings? God only knows. I'm convinced that Barack Obama, there I go. Now look, no. I'm convinced at the end of the day, Joe Biden is the one who's actually making the final call on stuff because look at the chaos, look at the conflicting policies, look at the insanity of the policies. Only a dementia-addled fool like Joe Biden could actually come up with incoherent, conflicting chaos policies like this. But what's actually happening behind the scenes, I suspect, is this. Let me make you smarter. Old school senators, which Joe Biden is one, would rely on their chief of staff. The chief of staff would whittle all of the decisions down to a handful of decisions. And then from that handful of decisions, the president makes his pick. And he leads the president in that decision. He leads the president in that direction. That's the job of a Senate chief of staff. The Senate chief of staff takes the meetings, vets the solutions, the policy proposals, narrows them down to the 2 or 3 he thinks that the boss is going to like, and then goes to the boss and says, here are your options. 1, 2, or 3, pick. That's the way Joe Biden operated his Senate office. That's the way Joe Biden operated his vice presidential office. And I have it on very good authority. That's the way he's always operated the presidency. Now you throw into the mix Jill Biden and Hunter Biden as well. And Anita Dunn. And still Ron Klain behind the scenes, his former chief of staff. I think that this is what's happening here. It's not Barack Obama. Never has been Barack Obama. It's been a very small circle of trusted Biden advisors who have whittled all the decisions down to the very last and then let Biden pick. And the result of this is you had Ron Klain, and Ron Klain, say what you will about Ron Klain, but Ron Klain was the very steady hand for Joe Biden. In fact, Ron Klain had been the chief of staff to Joe Biden from 2009 to 2011. He'd worked in the Clinton administration. He worked in the Obama administration. He worked on the campaign, and then he left. Ron Klain knew Joe Biden's preferences very well because they'd worked together. Jeff Zients worked the National Economic Council, worked in the OMB for Obama, went out into the private sector, and he came back after serving in the private sector. They do not have the tenure that Ron Klain had. And the pattern continues to play out where he's probably whittling things down for Joe Biden. And the chaos comes from Ron Klain and Joe Biden had a longer, deeper working relationship. I just think, now let's take Barack Obama out of the picture here. It's not him. I think what we're seeing is this bubble of people, this very close-knit group of advisors around Joe Biden, paring everything down into what their preferences are, and then going to Joe Biden and dragging his finger, like the people who claim to be speaking for the people who can't speak, and they're going to touch the keyboard, just guiding, you guide my hand, and it's going to land wherever. That's kind of what's going on here. At the end of the day, it is Joe Biden's hand, though, placing his hand on the option, however he was led to get there. And now what's coming out from all these stories from people inside the White House is that they themselves have been so blocked from engaging with the president, none of them had any idea that the situation was as bad as it is. Well, of course they didn't. They haven't been able to see and interact with the president. It turns out that senior people at the White House themselves haven't been able to see the president. And now we're getting this remarkable cavalcade of leaks from senior White House officials saying the president is not fit to run for office. The problem here is this. If Joe Biden is not fit to run again, why is he fit to continue as president of the United States? And they don't want to answer that. And that's one reason they're trying to avoid the conversation of getting him not to run again.